Hi, I want to talk to you today about Ranger Shake. I've heard a lot of people that have had problems with Ranger Shake, especially between the going 50 and 60 miles per hour. That's where I really noticed it. I have an XLT, Ranger XLT 1994. So XLT is extra long truck, which means an extra long drive shaft. So an extra long drive shaft for a Ranger comes in two pieces. If you had a regular Ranger, you wouldn't have two pieces. It's just a straight through drive shaft. No, so you can see here, there's a connection going to the transmission. I have a manual transmission. U-joint. Then it goes to the center bearing. The center bearing, and then right after that is a joint. So on XLT you have the second joint, but on the normal one you just go straight through. I don't think there's another bearing. I could be wrong. So when I bought this truck, it was because the owner had given up on it. He said there was some banging going on, there was some noises while he was driving. He said he took it to mechanics and they didn't know what it was. So I drove it around for about, I don't know, 5 minutes, and I thought, well, it's either the suspension or something, the drive shaft. It's not, not anything engine related. So I drove it 40 miles home, and then by the time I got to my driveway, it was so loud, and it sounded like a snowplow driving across asphalt pavement. You know how that sounds. Horrible. When they put the plow down and they just scrape it. Well, that's what was going on here, because my drive shafts, this is riding on here. And this had come loose. This whole center bearing had come loose, and everything was flopping around. So I thought, oh, what an easy fix. I went down to the machine shop. I got a new center bearing, and I had them install it onto this first piece of the shaft, and I stuck it back in. So, problem solved. But I still noticed that shake going on between 50 and 60. When it would get worse, even over that speed, 75, the vehicle's going to shake apart. So then, a couple years go by, and my drive shaft suddenly falls out. I crawl under here, and I notice that this shaft has popped out of this rubber, this bearing here. It has this rubber piece. It houses the circular bearing area. So this whole thing had popped out of the rubber, and it was falling out. I had to get it towed. So I thought, wait a minute, I just replaced this. This shouldn't be happening again. So I undid these, I undid everything, and I can see here, see these plates? I stuck these plates in here to raise up the drive shaft. The drive shaft was vibrating because it wasn't in line with the transmission. It was too low. And actually, these two pieces were pointing down towards this this cross beam here, and it really should be a straight line, a very straight line, going from the transmission all the way back to the differential. Just a nice straight line. It shouldn't be deviating in any direction, and that was not the case here. So I was lifting it up with my hand. I thought, well, the drive shaft should be here. So that's what I did. I put, doesn't look perfect, and it's not perfect, but I put these I wish I had another piece of metal, but I just did it on the fly. I added some shims, these shims underneath the center bearing, and you can see, yeah, it isn't perfect, but I'll tell you what, I don't have any more shake because the drive shaft is now straight, as a straight connection from the transmission to the differential in the back. I mean, what was going on was, you know, because of that two-piece design, you know, the axle is doing this. And the center bearing's right there. It's trying to hold it, but the force of the axe of the drive shaft is doing this because it's not lined up properly. So that's the cure for Ranger shake. You just need to raise up that center bearing. I mean, maybe there's a part missing that I didn't know about. I don't know. But when I got the truck, that's all there was to the center bearing. It just showed it mounted right to the cross member. And that's it. So you just need to shim it so that when you look at that, it's got a nice diagonal line. And there's none of this going on, because that's going to create force. That's why you're shaking down the road. So good luck.